Shows 2 people are here. I jumped in like 30 seconds early. Oh, there's Ranger. Hello, Ranger. Hope you're doing well, sir. Going well. Had the fun weather this week at the first of the week, or during the past weekend and stuff. So, but it is starting to melt off today. So, hopefully, it will continue to melt. We had a bunch of ice and some snow. And I'm getting over a cold, so Scott is in the house. Hello, Scott. How are you? And if y'all have SHOT Show, I didn't go to SHOT Show. I've just been watching the videos like a lot of y'all have, and items that I've picked out that I kind of like and I'm interested in. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. And if y'all have any that y'all are, excited about, let us know. But we'll wait till some more people jump in. It shows 6 people, 3 thumbs up. So, and then YouTube hasn't done the little announcement that I started yet. So hopefully they will. Rich is in the house. How are you, sir? No melting here, yeah, solid ice. I can imagine, like I said, we're not used to this shit. I know a lot of states are, but it jacks up our travel plans, put it that way. Matter of fact, I haven't even left the house in, well, I guess since Sunday. What's up, JJ? How are you, man? A Gen 5 17L for a Gen 6 45. Oh, you traded that. Okay, cool. Didn't like the 17L when oh, it was a Gen 5. What's up, Navy Vet? How are you? Wow. So, it's going to snow in Central Florida, huh? Hello, Dexter. How are you? We'll give it a couple more minutes, let everybody jump in here. And again, I'm just talking about SHOT Show products that I saw in videos. I did not go this year. Matter of fact, I had my sales meeting the week of SHOT Show. So I didn't even get to catch up on any of the videos because I was busy all last week. I'll kind of give you all the insight what I was doing. But I was busy all last week with my sales meetings. All the guys came in and it was early mornings till late nights with them, so that's why I couldn't do last Wednesday. I don't want any more snow. I hear you. Yeah, I don't want any more ice. I don't mind snow, but snow always turns into ice here. Rich says our car is hostage in the garage. I live up on a hill and no way to get down, let alone back up. Yeah. Scott says I didn't shoot the 17L good. I have a Gen 5 G34. I shot better. I get you. Where do you get your CZ hats? This was given to me by a CZ rep. These were some special, I don't know, some special ones. You can put a patch over this and it says, I don't know, CZ something life on the back or something. I've had these for, this one was some limited edition when they did. Yeah, CZ USA on the back. And you can put a patch on it, and you can put a patch back there if you want. So, you hooked me up. I got these for a while back, but you can get them on their website. And I've got some orange ones. Y'all have seen the orange ones, but I've got quite a few CZ hats. But I got them from the rep. He gave them to me back in the day. And there's one of them that I bought, but I trashed it all out. It's all nastified, so I donated it. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but I donated a bunch of hats too. I cleaned off that. I still have a bunch of hats, but I kind of cleaned off a bunch of my hat collection and gave them, as them were brand new, to buddies. They were actual golf brand hats. So I gave them to a bunch of buddies who were still playing golf. I haven't had a chance to test it yet, but how does an all-wheel drive vehicle do in the snow? I mean, it does fine in the snow. It just doesn't do worth a shit in the ice. But yeah, they do great in the snow. But if you're in a truck, pickup truck with nothing on the bed is light. So you're still gonna, you can still get a little squirrely in a pickup truck. If it's an all-wheel drive like SUV or all-wheel drive car, believe it or not, they kind of do better in snow, as long as it's not too thick. Have the gun, Jesus camo pattern baseball hat. There you go. Have to go on eBay to get mine. Yeah, I think I got some earlier ones off eBay. I don't remember. Nothing does good on ice exactly, except maybe a freaking bulldozer with a scraper. Only way to get good traction on ice is to air down. Yeah, that's true. And also, if you're in sand, you got to air down too. Cheers, everybody. We got some Buffalo Trace, big old glass. So, first drink. All-wheel drive Highlander. That will actually probably do better than a pickup truck. I've driven my daughter's in the snow. She has a Mercedes, what is it? It's the SUV, the 300C or 300 something, and it's all-wheel drive. It's the 4MATIC, and it does good. I only drove it one time though. When we bought it, it was snowing, and I was showing her how to put it in 4-wheel drive and stuff, or when she bought it, or we bought it, or whatever you want to say. My Atlas does good in the snow. I hear you. But let's go ahead and get into it. I've had a lot of people ask me since I was out last week. They were seeing SHOT Show videos, and they were shooting me emails, and the buddies were shooting me texts and stuff like that. And thank you. I had a couple of sorry, I can't remember the names, but I had a couple of y'all reach out, and I know one of them. I just don't want to say their name there because I know their real name, and I can't remember their YouTube handle. But they're one of the subscribers, and they reached out asking me about what I thought about the new Smith & Wesson and stuff like that. The all-metal Smith & Wesson. And I mean, Smith & Wesson has a great reputation. If you're interested in that gun, I mean, I don't see any reason not to get a Smith & Wesson. I would just probably wait till the prices come down just a little bit, personally, because SHOT Show, they're going to be blaring them out there. Kind of wait till it dies down a little bit. They always go on sale afterwards. Hello, Lynn Holt. How are you? So, that's just what I would, recommend doing on that. Scott says, don't recommend the turbo 4-cylinder diversion, though. Too small of an engine, too big of a vehicle. Yeah. But a couple of pistols that I kind of liked. I mean, just watching videos. Again, I was not at SHOT Show. That new Dragon pistol, I don't know if y'all saw it. It's very expensive, but kind of looks like a alien. Kind of looks like an alien. I was trying to explain what it looked like. It's made by a company, but it's called the Dragon. And you can put a compound, put a threaded barrel on it. It literally snaps on. You don't have to have any tools to take this gun apart. It just literally all snaps apart. It has the lowest bore axis, it claims. Rear dot is stationary. That one's really cool, but it's super expensive. I think it's like $6,000. So, I don't think it's going to just be for everyone, but something kind of totally different. It's definitely different. It has really cool scales on it and stuff. I mean, I just really like the way it looked. JJ says, I'm really excited about the new Smith & Wesson 686 comped with the red dot RMR on it. Yeah, I saw that. It does look good. So the Dragon's one of them. Just that looked cool. I'm not saying I'm going to buy it or anything like that. What's up, Nolderman? How are you, man? As far as another cool option, and if y'all remember, I said this 1,000 years ago, back when SIG was making the modular guns and stuff like that. I said, it'd be cool if they had like a modular fire control unit and you could get different grips and, even use it in like an AR style or a PCC style. You could just move that around and buy all the different, platforms and have those delivered to your house and have the one modular, like trigger pack, so to say. And what's cool now, PSA came out with that. It's that AXR modular guns. You can have a PDW, you can have like a large frame, or like a full size, a compact, subcompact. But if you get into the like Glock 43, 48, you have to get a different pack. trigger pack. But I thought that was kind of cool that you can move some things around. The grips look really good. Again, it's PSA. It could be kind of hit and miss until they're proven out. But I do like what they're doing. The way they have that set up and your different options, and hell, you can buy like a different barrel, different slide. You can get all kinds of different things. So I thought that was kind of cool. If that's something you're interested in. Shadow Systems has a new gun, and it's like an all metal Glock type gun. It's a ground up gun. It's supposed to have a really great trigger, but man, that thing is like 2,200 doll hairs. And I'm like, I don't know about that yet. I haven't put my hands on it or anything like that. I just saw it on video, so I don't know how it's going to prove out. It was interesting, but again, I don't know. But I think, that could be a cool option. By the time you get a Glock, and if you wanted to put a metal frame on it and do all that other stuff, you're probably going to be about that dollar mark. So might be a good option. Scott was asking, do you think the CZ75 Legend, I think it's way overpriced for what it is. I do too. I think it's cool, if that's something you want to collect. But I was just like, yeah, I remember those guns when they were out back in the day. But would I run out and buy one? No. Doesn't have a rail. It's not cut for a dot. I mean, for me, I kind of already have those in a way, the older styles guns. I have old 1911s, that are similar and stuff like that. So I don't need another CZ like that. But for people who want it and want to collect it, I think that's cool. Find PSA trying to do too much at once, and that's why their projects fail. Also, they're stringing too far from being budget oriented and trying to go high end. Yeah, I agree. And their new Saber 2011 looked good. They had a comped version, a non-comped version. They look good. I do like the grips on them. They are RMR cut already, so that's great. They had rails. I mean, they look pretty nice. I just don't know what the price point is. Somebody said they're going to be about $2,000 hairs. So if that's the price point they're at, that might be a good thing. All their stuff, granted, again, some of it is hit and miss. And I agree, Scott, they're making everything in their brother. So they're pumping shit out pretty quick. But, they're trying to find what people want. And it seems like they're just throwing everything at the kitchen sink to try to get something to stick. But, at least they're kind of like, Kel-Tec did back in the day. They're kind of like a new aged Kel-Tec. Not saying everything's revolutionary, but they're trying to, kind of come out with new things. So I think that's good for the innovation part of it. We just don't know what the quality is going to be yet. So once it gets out in the wild, we see people start testing it and stuff, maybe it'll be good. I don't know. But that 2011 could be a good option for somebody who wants a good 2011, as long as it proves itself out. It could be a good option. I don't know if they have any MIM parts on it. I don't think they do. I think they said no MIM, but I can't remember. So don't quote me on that. Let's see here. Nighthawk has the new Alpha Hawk with a comp. That thing looks badass. It's got the new serrations on it, which look really good. Of course, that's your one gun, one builder. So it's not going to be cheap, but that Alpha Hawk looks really badass. So if that's something you're interested in. I saw OA Defense, their 2011. They were out and making guns and all that. And then I heard they filed bankruptcy. I don't know if they did or not. That's what I heard. But apparently they're still making guns. So maybe they filed bankruptcy, but they're still in business, you know what I mean? Just to clear some debt. But, I mean, it's a metal grip now and some other things like that. It's supposed to be like under $1,000 hairs for a metal grip, 2011. Whether it's any good or not, I don't know. The grip looks slick as shit. I mean, it looked like your hand would just slip all over it. It was like flat surfaces, no serrations, and I was kind of like, Of course, you could slap some grip tape on it if it was worth a crap, but I don't know if it's going to be. The Kimber 4.25 comp, I thought it looked pretty good. They had it in a tuxedo where it's a stainless and black, and then they had it in all black, and I thought that looked pretty nice. I can't remember if they changed the plate system, but if it's that plate system that I hate where it has those lugs built into it, I would never buy that ever, because I've dealt with their plates before and they're dog shit. But if it's a regular screw-in plate, you know, that would be something that might work. But like I said, the Kimber 4.25 comp looks pretty nice. I don't need any more 5-inch guns, and not that I even need the 4.25 gun, but you know, the price is good. It has a lifetime warranty. I mean, that could be a good option for some people. So Black Rain Ordnance is trying to make an AK that's gonna work out real well. I've seen Black Rain before, but I haven't really followed what they're doing, so I don't know. One gun that I thought looked cool until I heard the price, and I'm not saying it's not worth it, but the new Staccato HD C4X, basically it's the 3.6 Staccato HD with the comp, so it equals a 4-inch slide, but it's got a freaking 15, or it's got the small grip. It's not the 19X style grip. It's like the 50. It's like a Glock 19, and that would be too small for my hands for the grip size. I think it's going to be a cool option for some people if you want that size of gun with a little comp. But it's $3,500, and I'm like, wow, that's like really expensive for a Staccato that takes Glock mags. So, you know, to each their own, but and also you're getting a polymer grip for that. You're not getting a metal grip. And I like Staccato, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, that seems a little bit too high for me. You know, buying a Staccato for 35 that takes Glock mags. I mean, it's not a true 2011. But again, I like the C2. I like my MPA, you know, 4-inch, all that 425s. Great guns. But if that's something you're interested in, I think it's going to sell. I think it's going to sell like crazy. But, you know, I think they're just kind of taking another $1,000 from somebody. But, you know, I don't think that price would come down either, honestly. Especially because they're going to be making them. But I meant at first they're going to make them and everybody's going to buy them. You know, especially because I know guys that have every HD that's came out. They didn't buy the regular 2011s, but when the HD series came out taking Glock mags, they like bought the 4-inch, then the 4-inch HD, you know, with the little weight in the front, and then they bought the 3.6, and now they're going to have the 3.6 with the comp, which is the C4X. So, but again, whatever, you know, people want to buy, they can buy. JJ says, I've seen the new Beretta 22 Jaguar, I think. Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, you know. I mean, there's so many great 22s that are out there already. Like, I mean, I hate to admit it, but the SIG P322 is a pretty nice gun, and you can get the 25 round capacity. You know, the Taurus TX22 and TX22 competition, you know, you can get what, 22 or 23 rounds in those now too. I mean, you know, those are kind of my two favorite ones, you know, for 22s. But again, some people like them. I think it's going to be an option. LTT is making the Beretta 80 and 32 auto. That's kind of cool. Don't want to know what it cost. Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, whoa. And then also, Beretta actually, and I think this is a great thing that they did, they actually are going to be mass producing all of the new Berettas going forward with the RDO LTT cut on them, which is deeper. It comes with the plate. You literally put the plate on it. And the LTT for the Berettas is the best cut for dots. It is the best. Beretta came out with their janky thing where it was like 5 feet above the slide. and that was just dog shit. It was like you tighten it down the plate right on top of the slide. It was just so high and so janky looking. So I think that's cool. They're using the LTT cut now. I think a lot of people will buy that, and you don't have to send it to LTT. You just buy it, and it's got that cut on it already, ready to go. So I think that'll be cool. Ellen Holt says the 32 was very popular at the turn of the 20th century. It's not interesting to see, or it's interesting to see how it will do. I think it's gonna, a lot of people like 32. I've shot 32 before. I've never owned one, but I've shot one, or shot a couple of them actually. I mean, it's cool. It gives people another option. So, and it is better than center fire, or excuse me, better than rim fire, for self-defense. So, gives you another option. Let's see here. Now we'll go to a gun that I'm kind of interested in. Not saying for sure I'll grab it because I have probably others like it or close to it. But I was thinking for out of the box, this one kind of has everything. And when it first came out, I was kind of like, I didn't like the way they had comped it. With that tri-comp, I was like, I don't really like that setup. And I held one. I hadn't shot one, so I still hadn't shot it, the original one. But I kind of looked at it and I was like, yeah, it feels good in the hand. Rich B says, saw a Beretta commercial claiming they were the oldest American company. Wonder if that's accurate. American company? Oh, they're out of Italy. I don't know. I don't know about that. Okay, yeah, but I thought they were originally out of Italy. Unless they moved a lot of it over here. I don't know if they did or not. But the gun I'm talking about is the Canik Radian Prime. So it's a Canik Prime, but it's in collaboration with Radian, where they have the Radian Ramjet, the Radian backstrap, and the Radian magwell. So it is the Prime with the good trigger, and the trigger's nice. I dry fired it at the gun store. But with the Radian Ramjet, I'm a big fan of the Radian Ramjet. I really like it. I've got, I don't know, 2 of them, I guess. I think they work great. I can tell the difference. And I've shot other ones too. I shot them on a Zev. They were Greg Zevs. So I shot his with the Radian Ramjet, mine with the Radian Ramjet, and I really enjoy them. So now the Canik Prime Radian version is going to come again with a 400 doll hair barrel and comp, plus backstrap, plus magwell, and all of that, and you get it for like 800 to 850 doll hairs. So, and it has a full-size mag. So, I mean, I think that's a cool option if you want a skinnier gun, high-capacity skinnier gun. So I think that could be a good option as long as it performs. But from what I saw, with the SHOT Show reels, it looked like it was running well. But I guess, when real people get them and start running them, then we'll see. But I think it looks pretty cool. They're going to have 2 color options, like a gray and I think a bronze, or maybe a black and a bronzy color. So I think that's going to be a cool option. You can get it with their Canik dot or without the Canik dot. I would probably get it without the Canik dot. Supposedly their dots, Canik's dots, are better now. I played with one of their original ones and it sucked. The refresh rate was horrible. But again, that was a long time ago, so maybe they have gotten better. I don't know. But let's see here. Scott says, I have no issue when it comes to comps because I like to actually clean my gun and they're kind of a pain in the ass to get the barrel out. They need to come out with a way to unmount them easily. Well, and the Radian Ramjet's easy. You just unscrew that threaded. I've never had it carbon lock or anything. You just unscrew it. It pops right off the front. Sometimes you have to wiggle it, because it can just get stuck. But if you have to, just tap it and it pops off. That's one thing I like about it. And that screw just lines up with a little groove. So, yeah, I think it works really well. And then the ones with the comps, you have to slide it down to the end and kind of clean it that way. So I see what you're saying when they screw, like the old school way, which is definitely old-timey. But it is what it is. And ports, you know, I mean, I have ported guns, I have comp guns. Ports get your slide dirty, comp get your comp dirty, so it doesn't matter. But I don't have a problem with either one of them. Let's see here. And yeah, they have the push buttons like Uncle Dan saying. There's some that have like a little push button where you push it and they pop off. And that's kind of what Shadow Systems has on that CR920XP. You know, it's got the little lever. You just pop the lever and it snaps right off. So I think that's a really cool design too. So it's kind of toolless, but sometimes you have to kind of like really pry that thing and you could pop a fingernail if you're not careful. But, you know, I think the Canic Prime with the Radian setup is going to do really well. I think a lot of people are going to buy it. You know, so, but again, I want to see it out in the wild. I want to see people shooting it, putting a bunch of rounds through it. And at that time, not that I'm going to go run out and buy it, but I might trade some stuff in that I never use. You know, because I mean, I don't need any guns, but I might trade some stuff I never ever use and I don't care about. I might trade some of that stuff off just to get something different, you know, if I want to. That way I would have two skinny guns because I want a little more capacity. And I could carry the Canic Prime. But again, I want to see how it tests out. So, hello Clyde, how are you, buddy? Hope you're doing well. Dirty Dan says, hey, Big Johnson, found out about the CZ-P09 because of your videos. What an awesome pistol, thanks. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it, man. I've got two of them and I really like them. And the P07s too, they're great guns. So thanks for jumping in, man. Now as far as dots, Holosun has a huge offering. I think they've got some really cool stuff. You know, they get the EPS, like it's their EPS carry now, where it's got the shorter base, but the wider window, kind of bigger window for like the RMSC cut. I think that's going to be cool. A lot of people are probably going to buy that. And they got the new Ames, where it stands taller, but, you know, it's got that P09, I think it's the P09, or 509 cut. So it's not quite an acro cut. I wish they would have went with the acro. But, you know, that seems like a cool option. They've got the new, this thing is huge. I've got the 507 competition, but this is the 507 plus. So it's even bigger and taller than the competition. So, and the competition's huge. That window is huge. So this plus is going to be a monster. The only thing I could see you using that for would definitely be competition, or maybe like on a PDW if you wanted a really big window for like an open dot. You know, I could see people using that, but like carry, I think it's probably too big. But again, people can have choices, and I love that. So I think that's a cool option for all their new things. And Aimpoint Koa is now not. They already did their year with Glock, so that contract is over. So now they can release the Aimpoint Koa to everybody, and that new K cut. So people will be able to do the K cut and all this other stuff. And at SEMA, at SHOT Show, it seemed like every freaking gun had a Koa on it now. I mean, M&Ps had Koas, Glocks. I mean, there were like every gun people picked up had a damn Koa on it. So I thought that was kind of crazy because I haven't seen the Koa for sale just with the dot. Like you could just buy the Koa. I haven't seen that yet. I don't know how much they're going to be. I have no idea. But after you buy it, then you're going to have to get your gun cut for the K cut. But, you know, if you're wanting that kind of cut. What's up, Reloading for the Hot Pot? How are you, man? Let's see here. Who said this? Let me catch back up here. Scott says FN right now. They were teasing for months about the fall, or FAL. Didn't have it at SHOT Show. Yeah, I'm sure they were. Man, the FN that came out with that 503. Man, it just seems like a really budget type gun. Not saying it's bad, but I just, you know, it didn't do anything for me. Dirty Dan says, what do you think about all the modern remakes of old guns coming out of SHOT? I mean, I think it's cool. And I've taken a lot of my older guns, like my old 1911s or some of my 1911s, and I've modernized them with dots and, you know, Cerakote and all kinds of stuff. So I think it's cool. because a lot of those older guns, how people say older guns are classic guns, I mean, those guns are just as effective as all these new modern guns. Um, so if that's something you enjoy, I say do it. And if you've already got the gun, you can send it out and have it modernized for less cost than buying a whole new gun that you don't know anything about. I did a bunch of that to a bunch of my CZs and all that stuff. So I think you got a big opportunity in 1911s, 2011s. You can send them out and have them done up too. That way, make them your own is what I always say. Yeah, they said, oh no, they hate the SCAR because it destroys $1,000 optics. And if you watch the video, FN release, the new one has more barrel whip than the damn AK. Yeah, like I said, nothing surprises me. Um, so we went over Hollow Sun and Aimpoint Koa. Steiner, which I really love the MPS. I really do. It's a great dot. And as y'all remember, I had one of them that the back window cracked. Sent it into their customer service. I had to pay to ship it there. But, they sent me a label, but I had to pay the shipping. They got it, looked at it, said it would take 3 to 4 weeks. They got it, replaced it with a whole brand new MPS. And I think it's even the updated version. And sent me the whole new kit at no charge. So they definitely warrantied it and stood behind it. So very impressed with it. I really like the MPS. I've got 3 of them. And that one just had a crack. And I don't know if it was a crack. It looked like the crack was inside because I couldn't scratch it, but it was definitely a line. So it looked like it cracked from the inside, but there was nothing loose in it. So it was weird. But they did send me a brand new one in the box, wrapped up. I opened it up and it was the new Gen 2 version because my original one was the very first one that came out. So it's the updated battery plate, has a couple little updates on it, which is cool. But Steiner has the new MPS-C, which has the bigger window, but it is for the RMS-C footprint. So it goes right on an RMS-C with no plate. And this one is Shake Awake, where the MPS full size is not Shake Awake. This one is a Shake Awake. It's going to be a 3 MOA dot, which I like a 2 or a 3 personally because I have dual stigmatisms. So I think that's going to be a really cool dot for an RMSC setup. The window looked cool. Looked like they had done some nice quality, stuff with it. It's not going to be cheap. I think they said like 500 and something doll hairs. But again, that was just the price they were quoting right off the bat. I'm sure it'll be expensive when it first comes out. Maybe it'll come down in price or go on sale after a little while that it's out. But that could be a really cool option for some people who are wanting something like that. So, those are some of my, I guess, items that I was interested in. There were other ones, but I was like, it was kind of cool to see. Like Mossberg has some new stuff out for shotguns, but I've got great shotguns. I love my 590A1. I've got some semi-autos from Mossberg. Really enjoy them. I don't have any shorty like those little bird's head ones. I don't have any of those. I know Uncle Dan does. But like I said, I think that's really cool. There were some cool like little PSA Primary Arms is having their dot that's made in Texas. They are supposedly pumping those out now, but they're like 800 doll hairs right off the bat. So they're not going to be cheap, but I think those are going to be cool. I just haven't seen one in person. So next time I get to Houston, I'll swing by there, take a look at it, see what I think about it. Go from there. What's up, Trigger Bar? How are you, man? Hope you were doing well, sir. Hopefully y'all are out of bad weather and stuff and being safe. Like I said, we've had all kinds of ice, but again, it started melting pretty good today, so hopefully we'll kind of be over that shit because that was a pain in the ass. but there was some stuff that I liked, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. But then, like, again, there was some stuff where I was just like, man, what is this? Um, I had all kinds of invites if I went to SHOT Show to come by and see this person and that person, and of course, Lock Grips. I've worked with them forever. Um, and then Vector Optics wanted me to come by. They even sent me a gift set um, with a bunch of stuff, and it was very nice of them to do that. But I'll probably just give it away to y'all. It's not any optics. It's just a jacket or like a pullover thing and some other crap. So I might just box it back up and send it to one of y'all. Oh, that's what it is. It's a jacket, like a pullover, a hat, calendar, a little coin, like a challenge coin. Challenge coin's kind of cool, but yeah, I might just donate that to one of y'all if y'all want it. And the size, they were like, "What size are you?" And I was like, "Oh, probably a double." And they ended up sending me a 4, and I'm like, "Wow, that's probably going to be too big." But of course, in the Chinese sizes, if y'all ever dealt with that, I put it on or stuck my arms in it, and I'm like, I think it's like a large. So, but Navy Vet says, I want to remove my EPS carry off my SFT Pro. Loctite was used on the screws. What is the best way to remove it? If it seems too tight, you can take a soldering iron, heat it up, and actually put it on the screw head. That will help soften up the Loctite. And once you do that, you're just putting direct heat on the screw head. And once you do that, you should be able to screw it right off. Soldering irons work great for that, so that way you don't break it. And use a really good bit. Don't use a cheap ass. I've got bits where they go in and they bite the head. They're not just kind of wobbling around in there. So, but I've got all kinds of different bits. And it'll be a T10 probably. But, that's what I would do, is put a soldering iron on it. I had one it wasn't mine, but a guy was messing with his. And he's like, man, I can't get the screw off. And I was like, what kind of Loctite did you use? And he's like, I used red. And I'm like, whoa. So I heated up with a soldering iron and I got him out for him. I was like, don't use red. Uncle Dan says, I haven't followed SHOT Show like I normally do because I went back to my roots on revolvers and lever actions. Nothing wrong with that, John Wayne. Yep, heat for Loctite, yep. 16 thumbs up. Yeah, we've got, what do we got? 28 people in here and 16 thumbs up. Y'all smash that. What is up, Pop Doctor? Yeah, we've got some good channels in here. Pop Doctor, Trigger Bar. If I missed y'all, anybody else, definitely chime in. Go over and check those guys out. They've got good channels. I enjoy chatting with them and having the guys banter so we can, bust each other's balls and just goof around. That's what it's, and apparently Pop Doctor went squirrel hunting with his AR, killed him some squirrels. Oh, and reloading from the hot pot. He's got a channel too. Y'all go check him out. Yeah, old Trigger Bar, or old Pop Doctor was shooting squirrels with his AR. No, I'm just joking. He's doing mag changes, and that was cool. I had to get out there and bust some ice on the driveway today with the sharpshooter. Man, that shit was thick. Getting it busted up so it could melt good. But I saw some. There are some cool lever actions that are coming out. I saw a couple of case hardened ones. Looked pretty cool. Or a case hardened option, which looked pretty cool. I saw where people had modernized some of the lever actions to make them kind of more tactical, and I thought that looked pretty cool. And I love the lever action, do not get me wrong. They're awesome. And I own some like in 22 and stuff. But, they've got the peep sights, the old peep sights on them, and my eyes aren't that great anymore. So I can appreciate it when they have like a rail where I could put a dot on it or something like that. So that's always appreciated with me. So, and if y'all didn't hear, some people didn't probably watch the video, but we did go to the range, I think the weekend before. It was me, my wife, and her best friend and her boyfriend. And I had my wife shoot the 5.7 rock. if y'all didn't watch the video, and ask her opinion on it. However, I took a 2011, the MPA 5-inch. I took, God, what else did I take? I took the CR920XP. Oh, I'm sorry, I took the Glock 19X with the Iridian Ramjet as my carry gun. So I had that on my person. I ran 2 mags through it personally. God, what was the other gun I took? Oh, my Shadow 2 carry. So, or I'm sorry, my Shadow 2 full size. So they shot the Shadow 2 full size, they shot the MPA 5-inch, and the PSA Rock. And my wife was having a hard time pulling the PSA Rock trigger because of the trigger safety. She wasn't getting her finger all the way over to pull the safety in the center of the trigger. She was trying to pull the side of the trigger. It was like, I can't pull it, I can't pull it. And I'm like, what? And I was just like, bang, 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 And I'm like, here, try again. Wrap your finger over. So then she shot it. And she was like, oh, okay. But she shot the MPA 5-inch with a 1.5 pound trigger. She shot the Shadow 2 full size with the Performance Apex trigger. And then she shot the Rock. And I asked her favorites after she shot. Her favorite is the MPA 5-inch. And she shot it like a boss. Face shots at 7 yards, and she was just tearing it up. Shadow 2 full size, face shots, 7 yards, tearing it up. MPA, or excuse me, the PSA 5.7, she shot it very well, but she couldn't see the small holes because she kept, she would shoot. She was looking through the dot. I told her to look through the dot at the target, get the dot in the way, the correct way, but she couldn't see the holes from a distance. So she was like, "Where did that go? Where did that go?" And I was like, "Quit worrying about it. You're hitting it." But her favorite was the MPA full size because it's heavy and it's got a great trigger. Shadow 2 full size was her second place. The 5.7 PSA Rock was her third place. So what I've got to do is I've got to take her favorite 22s. She loves the Taurus TX22 competition. She loves that gun and shoots it like a boss. So I need to take 22s and have her compare the 22 against the Rock. And also on that Taurus, that thing has a good trigger. It's got the tandem cross trigger in it. So she's probably going to like the Taurus better. But, I want her really to dial in to that 5.7 to see what she thinks. But she didn't hate it. It was loud because, it's a 5.7. But she freaking loves that full size MPA. I mean, she's a 2011 snob. She's a trigger snob. I've trained her. I've trained her to be a trigger snob. So, let's see here. Let me catch back up. Yeah, we got the 5 inches of ice too, but it is melting off. Yep. Trigger Bar is the king of 380. He is the 380 guru. And that's cool that he tests that for everybody because I know a lot of people like 380. 3D printing, damn, y'all are getting into that, huh? Cool. Uh-oh, now it's discontinued. That's not good. Yeah, I say get a flamethrower for your ice. Just get you a flamethrower and go out there and burn the ice off. That's better. Uncle Dan says, I'm trading a TX22 Sunday for another 45 Colt lever. Damn, you're getting ready. You're getting deep into that Colt stuff, aren't you? Uncle Dan's going full John Wayne on us. Reloading from the hot pot says, I like my 380 fun little blaster. Sorry, I still got that freaking head cold, so my throat's all jacked up. But yeah, and like I said, I've had 380s in the past, but I got rid of them because not saying they're not good guns. I just find myself with 9mm better. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a guy well, he's not super close to me, but he's a friend of mine, and he's got a flamethrower. The only thing is they do run out of fuel pretty quickly. If you run them too much, he's got to keep refilling it. So, but it's cool. What are they? Propane? Is it propane? I think it's propane. I can't remember what the hell they run on, but he said he has to fill it up quite a bit. So, are they propane? I can't remember. But yeah, and I mean, hell, we don't have like rock salt. I don't keep that shit at home. Um, but everybody's like, oh, keep your rock salt at home. I'm like, how often do we get ice? Let me catch back up here. First drop, but I'll watch the rest on replay. Kind of like working out to Big J chats. Yeah, I was going to say, I appreciate you, Trigger Bar. Rock Chalk says, what are your thoughts on 1911s and 9mm Big J? I don't think there's anything wrong with them. Now, of course, if you're going by the Lord's caliber on a 1911, you want a 45. However, if you're getting a 1911 in 9mm, there's nothing wrong with it. They shoot great. Some people don't like the thicker grips on the double stack, so I totally get it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If you enjoy it, shoot it. I mean, like I've always said, I don't care if you carry a High Point, a freaking Keltec. I don't give a shit what you carry. Enjoy it. Have fun. Do what you want. Don't let people tell you, you're wrong. You're carrying the wrong gun. There's a lot of guns I don't like. I do not like at all. But if that's what you own and that's what you shoot, who am I to judge you? I don't do that. I always tell people, enjoy what you enjoy. And I've shot plenty of 9mm 1911s. I enjoy them. I own 2 of them. Pop Doctor says, thinking about a Beretta Cheetah and 32 ACP. Anyone had experience with them? My 32 ACP PPK suppressed really well. I have shot 32 ACP, not with the Beretta Cheetah, but I've shot 32 ACP, and I think it's kind of cool. Uncle Dan says, I will say it for you. 380s ain't good guns, but better than a sharp stick and harsh words. I mean, you could do some work with the 380 if you had to. Some of them are so freaking tiny. I mean, I've had 380s I could only get like the trigger finger and this finger on. They're just so damn small. But they're made for like little pocket guns. Sorry. I think somebody's delivering something and my wife's dog's going crazy. So sorry if that's annoying. Yeah, I think his is propane, I think, Scott. If I remember right, I think he has a propane tank on it. I think. Or no, his runs on both. It's got a little tank that you take the cap off, and I think you put gas in it, and it's got an igniter, but then I think he's got a hookup for one of those small propane tanks. So I think it's a dual. His wasn't cheap. His is some high-end one. So I think it runs on dual fuel, I believe. I think that's what it is, if I remember right. Because I remember seeing a stainless steel tank on it with the cap. So I think it runs on both. Yeah, and like I said, I mean, if you carry a 22, if you carry whatever, I don't care. I mean, I would rather have something on me than nothing. Like everybody says, I'd rather have something than a sharp stick. Some of the MAP gas, okay, because I don't know what kind of gas it takes. So I don't know if it's gasoline or whatever. Reloading for the Pop says, I've just ordered a Fusion XP comp. Yeah, I mean, I think that the XP comps look really cool. It kind of reminds me of like a Staccato XC. I personally don't have any experience with them. Bob, we were emailing, or I emailed them and all that stuff, but I never heard back. So this was a while back, so I didn't bother with it anymore. He asked me to reach out to him, so I reached out to him, and I guess he got busy. And I'm not the kind to call and, send it, please wear somebody out. So I just kind of left it alone. But I think that might be a cool option. I personally don't have any experience with them. I know people who have them and they like them. You know, and of course Humble just got the comp, and he seems to like it so far. So I think if you're looking for something that takes Glock mags, that would be a really good option, or that could be a good option. I just don't know the longevity of it, or any of that. So because I don't have any personal experience with it, you know, and of course you got the Platypus as well, but it's more expensive. But I think it's also machined tighter and things like that. It's more 19 or 2011 ish, than the XP Pro is. But I think that's a cool option. Yeah, it's a damn Chihuahua. So anybody, I mean, if she hears ice fall off the roof, she freaks out. She's a hell of a guard dog, but I mean, she couldn't hurt anybody, but she definitely is an alarm. She's an alarm. Tita's a bigger gun and heavier in 380 or 32. Ranger says, I shot my yeet cannon. Yeah. I've shot a bunch of high points in the past, and I wasn't impressed with them. I mean, they shoot, but man, the original high point that I shot when they first came out, man, it was a piece of shit. The mags didn't feed correctly. I know they've came a long way from back then. The whole slide was made out of zinc, which is a really shitty metal. If you drop it, they just explode. And my friend dropped it and broke a whole back chunk off of it. It wasn't loaded, but he dropped it. And because it's a freaking boat anchor. They weigh like 900 pounds. Rock Chalk says, which brand of 9mm 1911 magazines has worked best for you? That would be, oh crap. Shit, it's the only ones I run. Wilson Combat. I will only run a Wilson Combat mag. They work the best in 45s and 9mm, any single stack 1911s. I only run Wilson Combats. Now, I used to run a lot of Chip McCormick's. Wilson Combat bought Chip McCormick, so if you get a Chip McCormick, his are good as well. And I've got some, what's the ones that's made in Italy? Metgars. I've got some Metgars and they run well, but you know, some of the followers can be finicky, so you definitely want an anti-tilt follower when you're dealing with 1911s. And these Metgars do have that. They're just not as pristine, as perfect fitting as the Wilson Combats. So highly recommend Wilson Combat. I've never ever had a problem with the Wilson Combat. So those are my go-tos. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the high points are just, I'm not knocking anybody because I know some people have them. And, you know, there's price points that people can hit and afford, and I totally understand that. But man, I would rather have a police traded in Glock or a Smith & Wesson or something than a fucking high point, excuse my language. Hey, we got Mrs. Hot Shot in here. Let's see. Howdy, Big Johnson. How are you? Your dog barks like my little Lulu. Best cheap alarm I've ever had. Yeah, this one's name, this one is Pixie. She's a very cute dog. I love her to death. She's a fantastic dog, but man, she barks like crazy. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I told y'all back in the day, I had the original, I call it the Planet of the Apes gun because that's what it looked like. And it was that original high point 10 round mag. And if you put the Pro mag in it, it'd avoid the warranty. I purposely never cleaned that gun because it took like 2 hours to take the freaking gun apart. I bought it for $100. It was a complete ratchet piece of shit when I bought it. I could not get the gun to not work. It freaking worked every time. And this was a 9mm. I know they have 45 and all these different calibers. I never cleaned it because like I said, it took 2 hours to clean it. So I'm like, I'm not taking the damn thing apart. I took it apart one time and said I'd never do it again. I ran it in mud. I mean, I even put it in a pool or a lake actually, or the creek. I couldn't get the thing not to run. So it was crazy. And it had a lifetime warranty. So beating the shit out of it, I broke the front side off of it. I called High Point and they're like, oh, here's a label, send it in, we'll replace it. I sent a label in, they replaced it, and did a couple of things to it, some upgrades, and sent another mag. This was way before YouTube. And then when I sold it, I think I made 75 bucks off of it when I sold it. I think I sold it for 175. Trip Research, don't know if I've heard of them. What's up, Yukon? How are you, buddy? Let me catch up real quick. Big J, Triggerburst says, Big J, if you could only keep one pistol, and one long gun. Man, why are you asking me these questions? Oh, if I could only keep one pistol and one long gun. Okay. This would be, and you got to hear me out on this one, and this would be for a reason. If I could only have one pistol, and you got to bear with me because there's a reason for this. And I have nice 1911s, 2011s, you know, striker fire guns, all of that. And I love all of them, don't get me wrong. But if I could only have one gun, and there's a reason behind this, I would say the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. There's a reason it's compact. Because I could put longer mags in it, so I've got more capacity if need be. It does have double strike capability, so I can pull the trigger if the round doesn't go off. I can pull it twice. You can't with a single action. You can't with a striker fire without hand racking it. So I would probably have that gun because I could carry it. I could compete with it. I can do whatever I want to with it, and it is 9mm, so it's a very common round, and I have 50 mags for it. You know, the shorts and the longs. So I got a ton of mags. So that would be it. Shadow 2 Compact, and that's a freaking hard-ass question. I can't believe you asked me that, but that's hard. So that's what I would pick there. Then, for my long gun, it would probably be, and there's a reason for this one too, it would probably be my 12.5 308 POF. And the reason is, granted it's a pistol, okay, but it's 308 capability, so I could hunt big game with it if shit hit the fan or whatever. It also goes through car doors very well, you know, concrete, all of that stuff. Granted, it's not easy to carry that much ammo if I had to go running around. I've got drums for it as well. I've got 2 of the D50 drums, so, you know, it holds what, 50 rounds. So I've got that. I've got a ton of 308 mags. It's super light for a 12.5, and it's got some punch. Am I going to be taking things out to 1,000 yards? I could, lobbing them in there, but, and granted, I could have a 300 blackout too, but 308 would do much more at the distances I would need it for an urban environment, cars, all of that stuff. I don't live out in the country. So, you know, I would have a hard hitter, and then I would have a double strike capability. And also, even the mud, the grit, the stuff like that, if you keep pulling the trigger, even if you have to pull it 3 or 4 times, and it's got mud and gunk in it, usually it'll send it off. So, but that is a tough question. Very tough question, because I could also go with my P10F. Huge capacity, great gun, but it doesn't have double strike capability. And I have Glocks, you know, so, but it doesn't have double strike capability. Let's see here. High point PCCs are decent. Yeah, I haven't, like I said, I've only shot that old Planet of the Apes one, and it worked. Yeah, that's the one that I had from the early 2000s. Yeah. Yeah, and I think back in the day, that was I think right when they came out, I ended up buying it used for like $100 or something. Thanks, DB. I appreciate you, buddy. 19X. I mean, 19X is a great gun. Oh, Trip Research makes the Cobra mags for the 1911 various calibers. Ed Brown mags are nothing to sneeze at as well. Wilsons are my standard in 1911. Yeah, I'm a big Wilson fan. Pop Doctor says, coming in Big J with the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. That thing is awesome. It is a fantastic gun. And like I said, I've got a lot of nice 2011s. I've got 1911s and 45. I mean, I've got tons of striker fire guns, but having that double strike capability when needed, it's definitely beneficial. Greetings from Germany. Can you please greet my Uncle Kyle? Big fan over here. Well, greetings, Uncle Kyle. I saw from Shot Les Bear getting into double stack 2011s now, called them verifying a serial number. Hey, what mags for the new offerings? Checkmate. Checkmate makes some good mags too. Man, I don't know. I have a love-hate with Les Bear. I love their old stuff, but a lot of their frames are now made in the Philippines. You know, where they weren't in the past. I'm not saying every one of them are. I don't know, and I don't know if that's changed. So maybe it has, but man, they started making them in the Philippines, and a buddy of mine bought one for a premium price, and the frame was not good. And I was not impressed with that gun. And when I bought my Les Bear Customs back in the day, now they were the etched and the scrolled and all that shit, they were $7,000. And they're still wanting high dollar for these guns, and the frames are not the same. Miss Hotshot said mine will be my CZ 9mm and my 22 rifle because I can carry more ammo that way. And I agree with you, Hotshot, on the 22. You can carry a ton of ammo on the 308. That ammo is way big and heavy. So I totally get it. And that's why a lot of people do 5.56 because it's so light. But if you need some punching power, I want that. Pop Doctor says, have you shot a Gen 6 Glock yet? I held one in the shop last week. It actually feels like a gun now, not a 2x4. I have not, Pop Doctor. I have heard really good things about it. And y'all probably don't know this, but both of my Glock grips, I put my hand on them. The guy who stippled them for me, it was the same guy who did both my Glocks. He marked my hands on the grip and he molded the grip to my hands. So when I hold my Glocks, they're not 2x4-ish anymore. He trimmed them and stippled them. That was not cheap. That stippling was expensive. But I wanted to do that, and I don't have palm swells. I wish I did, and you get that with the Gen 6. So I haven't put my hands on a Gen 6 yet, but I really like the way mine are done because they're done to my hands. But I'm sure the Gen 6 is great. I'm sure it is. And I mean, you can't go wrong with a Glock. I mean, I know I joke around about it, and you know, the one I won't buy is a fucking SIG. I hope y'all know that. And if you got SIGs, that's cool, but I am not a SIG fan. So, and I have a long history with SIG, and they hate me, and I don't like them either. But I don't think you can go wrong with the Glock. So if you want the Glock Gen 6, by all means, I would recommend it. I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic gun. But I'm not a SIG fan. Let's see here. Yukon Bob says I regret selling it because it was my first actual legitimate pistol I bought from a store. Hell, I still have my original first gun I ever bought. Not that was given to me, but my very, very, very first gun that I actually carried. I still have it. I love 300 Blackout Hotshot. I love it. I'm a big 300 Blackout fan, as you can probably tell. These aren't even half of them. When did your buddy buy the Bear? Remember the model? He bought that Bear 2019, 2018, 2019, maybe it was It was either 2019 or 2020. No, it wasn't. It was later than that. 2022? I'm going to say between 2020 and 2024. Uh, it, he doesn't have it anymore. He sold it. When we really started pulling the grips off of it and looking at it, it was not. It was nothing compared to mine. But mine was back when they did everything by hand. Um, it just did not look right. But I want to say it was between 2020 and 2024. Don't hold me to it. Um, I've slept since then. But he had it. We shot it. It shot okay. I'm not saying it shot bad. But he went through the break-in after 1,000 rounds, and the frame, something just didn't look right. He had put new grips on it because he didn't like the original grips, and it was the 45. It wasn't the tooled custom. I think that's what I had. Mine came in a special, like, walnut box. This thing was primo. It had all the hand etching on it. It wasn't cheap. His was just the plain custom, and what's shitty about it, when he bought his, he spent a lot of money on it, and it came in a freaking cardboard box. And I'm like, what? And he thought it was coming in a wooden box, because when he looked it up, that's what they showed it in. And then he was like, I didn't get my box. And they said, oh, it only comes in a cardboard box. And he's like, what? So, and like I said, I'm not trying to beat up Les Bear. I'm not trying to do that. But, if he's still making them in the Philippines, there's other options out there. That's all I'm trying to say. Thanks, Pop Doctor. I appreciate you, man. Thanks, Yukon. I appreciate you, man. What are the odds that the nurse that got shot had his 320 accidentally go off? I don't know. I saw that when they pulled it out. Man, I don't know if that thing discharged or what, but I'm like, it looks weird. That was weird. And got the oldie on here. Got the this one is a Benares. Some people wonder sometimes what I wear. This is a Benares. This is a self-winding. It does have the old stainless steel band. It's a mesh band, and this one's from the 1960s, and you have to actually wind it. It's one of the self-winding, or not self-winding, manual winding watches, but it's an automatic, but you have to wind it. But it's from 1961, and it works perfectly. It does have the day and the date, which is kind of cool. Lynn Holt says, yeah, I got a 1996, 2019, and 2024 all are shooters, even over some Nighthawks. That's saying a lot. Yeah, they're great guns. I'm not knocking them, Lynn Holt. It's just for what he paid for it. And then looking, and this is a 1 of 1, so other ones could have been better, but man, it was just like where they didn't blend it, where they should have. It had a lot of imperfections on it. There was like a lot of filing areas where it wasn't smooth, and I'm like, this is not their normal standard. So, it is what it is. What is your take on the dummies carrying in guns and rifles at these protests? I think you should carry. Now, if you're having a long gun on you, that's different. Open carry, I'm a big concealed guy, so I would have an appendix. But yeah, I say carry everywhere. I'm not. And what's crazy is that guy had it at the 6 o'clock. Man, if somebody would have pushed him down, even in a street fight, when he landed on that gun, hell, I could paralyze him from that gun being embedded in his spine. But, for one, if you're going out there to cause trouble and, be a problem, I'm not saying this guy was. I don't know. I just saw, some video where apparently 10 days before this, he kicked out a light. But if you're just going to do stupid shit or going to get in people's faces, and you know, you can sit there and protest, hold your sign, do what you want. You've got the right to do that. But when you start interfering in things and running up to people and trying to grab them and pushing on them and getting in their face and all that, that's different. In my opinion, that's just different. There's ways to protest and get your point across, but you know, like when people are doing official business, you don't need to be involved in that. That's just not your place. You can stand back and oppose it, but you don't need to be, you know, breathing on them, put it that way. So, yeah, exactly. Caring is fine, but don't be dummies with LE. You know, I've been pulled over. I mean, I've been pulled over, and you know, when the police officer comes up, I got my LTC license and my driver's license. I've got them right there, my hands, you know. I mean, not that I'm being obedient, but I'm just being respectful. You know, the guy's pulling me over because, you know, I was speeding or I was doing something. You know, I get it. He's got a job to do. And I'm not going to put him in a position where he's going to be a dick to me. Now, I've had some officers come up and just be dicks. I get it. But, I mean, I'm in sales. I'm a people person. I can usually be like, hey, buddy, how you doing? You know, and sometimes that could make his day better. But if you get in his face and start being a dickhead and start screaming at him, and I'm not getting out of the car and, you know, cracking the window and, oh, I'm a sovereign citizen and doing all that stupid shit. I mean, or throwing up your camera and doing all that. What the, I mean, you're just being a dick. I mean, you know, I don't give a shit if that's the president or who the hell he is. He puts his fucking pants on like I do every day, one leg at a time. He's a man, I'm a man. You know, I respect him as a man. He respects me as a man. If he doesn't respect me, then that's why I have a problem. And I'll be like, hey, we're done with this. And I'm freaking calling my attorney or whatever I got to do. But, you know, I mean, I think you get a lot of things with honey than freaking throwing a flame torch on somebody. I mean, just don't be a dick. I mean, I've had so many, I even had cops one time, hey, you have your gun on you? I'm like, yeah, it's right here. You know, it's appendix. Keeping my hands right here. He's like, totally cool, totally cool. And then he was just like, hey, by the way, you know, just being curious, what are you carrying? And I didn't pull it out, but I'm like, oh, I got the Staccato C2. Oh, that's cool, man. I've been wanting to shoot a Staccato. And then we just have a good conversation. I mean, you don't have to be a dick. Man, just treat people as a freaking human being. Don't do all this stupid shit. You know, and I don't care what race you are, but I see some people do stupid shit, and I'm like, good Lord, who the hell raised your ass? Or didn't raise your ass? Yeah, you can have a light out. I mean, you could have, you know, anything can happen. I ain't being respectful. Just don't want to get shot. It's common sense. Yeah, I mean, you can't say the word liberal or can't say the word dick without liberal in the same sentence. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just treat people as human beings, man. I deal with people every single day, and I'm just a good guy, man. I just can't. I don't see how people wake up out of the bed and they're just dicks all day long. They're Karens. I don't care if they're male or female. I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with people? I mean, just because your life sucks, you don't have to make everybody else's life suck. Lynn Holt says, freezing cold and bear spray to the face is your first clue that you're not acting appropriately. Yeah. And like the lady who picked up a flashbang and it blew her freaking hand off. I'm like, who the hell picks up a flashbang? Now, apparently she didn't know what it was, but she learned what it was. I'm like, damn, don't pick up a flashbang. Holy shit. I think it blew her damn fingers off. But, like I said, man, you can't fix stupid. I mean, there are some people that should not breed. There are some people that should, I mean, they shouldn't even, well, we're not going to go that way. I'll be nice. You were pulled over, stopped. There was probably a reason, and you in the case, so just be respectful. Yeah. I mean, that guy's just doing his job. Unless you're a county sheriff deputy, local law enforcement, and no, then hired security. Yeah. I mean, if it's like a security guard, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a security guard," I'm gonna be like, "Okay, what the hell do you want?" I mean, I would still be nice. But if he starts being like, "Hey, you can't do this and you can't do that," I'll be like, "Dude, you're not law enforcement. I mean, you can back away." So, like I said, you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect. And you know, I know the laws. I'm not dumb. I was raised right. I got a mom and a daddy. I was trained or taught right from wrong. You know, I just respect people. And if they start disrespecting me, that's when it's time to call your attorney and be like, yo, you can take it from here. So that way you don't get your ass in trouble and lose all your shit. So I always tell them I have my little friend with me when I get pulled over. Say thank you. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, exactly. Lynn Holt says security guard equals U.S. citizen. Yes. Yep. That's what it is. Like I said, there's some people in this world that I don't like. Um, but I treat people with respect until there's a reason not to treat people with respect. So, because I can be a dick if I need to be a dick. But I usually start off not being a dick. So, but anyway, so it is 8:15. We will go ahead and shut this down. Um, Uncle Dan says, if I ain't doing wrong, they ain't disarming, but I don't act up. Yeah, me either. And if I had a gun on me and the cop's like, oh, I need to disarm you, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna be like, whoa, dude. Yeah, we're not doing that. Uh, I'm perfectly legal to carry this. You've got the license showing it. We're not playing that stupid shit. But I'm not gonna like start tackling him and doing dumb shit either. But I'm just gonna be like, whoa, hang on. Need to make a phone call real quick and get this handled. So yeah, don't disarm people. That's the stupidest shit you could ever do. But yes, thank you, Ranger. I appreciate you so much. But I appreciate everybody being on here. You know, please, y'all be safe out there. And also, like I've been saying recently for quite a while now, if you haven't reached out to a loved one or a friend and you haven't talked to them in a long time, please do. They would probably love to hear from you. Check in on them. Sometimes people are in bad ways and, they need to hear a little, hey, keep going, push ahead. So reach out to them, let them know you're thinking about them, that you love them, care about them. And then also, I appreciate all of y'all being on here. I know I've been saying this for a while, but I did say this at the first of the year. I'm going to start pulling some stuff together. We're going to stick it in a big old box here. I'm just going to start holding up stuff, and we're going to start giving away stuff soon. I would say probably within the next 2 weeks, I've got to get the garage set up after it warms up, because I'm going to be doing some of the chats out there too and giving away stuff. Some of the stuff I've decided to give away are going to be optics, flashlights, tools that I'm not really using anymore. If you're a tradesman or something and you could use those, I might just show it and be like sitting there and have some on the table. Y'all don't even know what they are. And I was like, who wants this? Boom. You say me. Okay, you're the first one that says it. You get it. So we'll start doing some stuff like that. It's going to be fun. I'm going to try to make it more fun. And I need to get some more videos out. I've been lacking in that. Again, I did have work last week, so I got tied up. And I appreciate y'all's understanding. But, and I'll be heading your way pretty soon, Uncle Dan. Probably within definitely next month. So hopefully you and I can get together, have lunch, bullshit a little bit. Maybe I'll come out a day early and we can have some fun. So, yep, you can never have enough flashlights, that's for sure. So these would be probably ones that go on the guns and handhelds. Like I said, I'm just trying to thin out a lot of my collection. I've got to clean some shit out, and get rid of some stuff. And all these tools that I have so many doubles and triples of stuff. So, I'll, especially if you're a tradesperson. And I just want to be fair. If you're a true tradesperson, if you're just somebody that says, oh yeah, like I said, I want to, help some people out. So we'll, start giving away some of that stuff too. So, because I've got a bunch of shit. I was looking the other day and I think I have 4 sets of snap-on screwdrivers. I mean, 4 whole sets. I was just like, holy shit, I didn't know I had that many. Um, and I don't need 4 sets of freaking screwdrivers. So, there'll be some good stuff. There might be some throwaway stuff, or you know what I mean, like just lower quality stuff. But we're going to start clearing some shit out. I'm getting older and getting tired of this shit being around here. So, anyway, but I appreciate y'all. Yeah, good. We can eat tacos. I love tacos, so we can do that. But I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have a wonderful night. And remember, an armed nation's a very weak nation. So we all got to carry on. Thanks, everyone. Y'all take care.